To desire. Attention is rarely sparked by desire. It's driven by fear. Fear of missing out, fear of being stuck, fear of choosing wrong. That's the spark. But no one buys from fear alone. They act because they believe that the pain can end or that something is just within their reach that's better. Good copy starts with fear, but then later pivots towards desire. You actually show them what they want. So a very common way to do this, right? I have lots of different frameworks and things that I'm going to give you, but you'll notice a lot of ads, right? And the first thing that they'll do is they'll point out a problem that's highly relatable to their target audience. So, for example, it would be something like, hey, do you know those guys that go to the gym every single day for months but still don't get any results? You don't want to be one of them. When you look in the mirror, are you thinking, wow, I got so big in the last 4 months? Or are you thinking, where's my progress? Right? So that's how a lot of people are going to be thinking. And then that is how it would start off. Now, I'm just going off the cuff with this. So don't expect this to be some crazy high level marketing. But then next, they give you a little piece, a little taste of what the solution is. So they say, well, I used to feel like that, but I used to have a solution. That's right. I used to feel like that, but I have a solution. You see, I packed on 10 pounds of muscle within the last 4 months. Here's my before picture. Here's my after picture. And I went to the gym 4 days per week, and I was able to eat chocolate every single night. Now, people are intrigued. And then they go back to the problem. They say, look, you see all this misinformation online. You see all these people, but here's the exact simplest, minimalist, getting ripped system that's out there on the internet right now. And then he'll give you something, then maybe he'll sell you a program or he'll tell you to do some personal, I don't know, right? That's just completely off my imagination. But you see that it is an easy way to get the right person's attention, to prove that you know how they're feeling. And now they are susceptible to actually learning more about your solution, because in the actual ad itself, you are showing them how you are going to help them and actually giving them some hope and some value as well. But don't worry, because we have so many more examples coming up. So the brain is lazy, and you want to actually use that. So look, the brain is trying to save energy always. You might not even realize it. When you read text, your brain doesn't even read everything word for word. It just looks at everything, it just scans it and skims it. It kind of scans for shortcuts, skips what feels hard, and finds the fastest path to the end of the page. Now, I mention it. Now that I mention it, you probably know what I'm actually talking about right now. That's where copy becomes a game of control. It's 2025, so shouting louder does not work. Complex writing doesn't work, and big claims don't work either, because there's a very, very small amount of trust in the market. Focus on shaping the rhythm, pacing the lines, and breaking just enough rules to actually keep it interesting. Write with the focus to keep them reading instead of trying to impress. So I've seen this all the time where people think that writing more is really good. I call this copy compensation, where you think that like writing this huge ad that's really big and it just like, oh, here's some studies from Harvard, they said this, and this is why you need to buy, and this is why you need to buy. That's not what you want to do at all. Instead, you want to do the opposite. You want to be as concise as possible. Really great copy says a lot in just a small amount of words. Now, as a little disclaimer going into the rest of the copywriting course, I've already done about 12 hours just in those two videos, and I did another 2.5 hour copywriting course. So in short, I have over a dozen hours of copywriting content on this channel. So I'm not going to reiterate the basics for anyone that is here. I'm going to cover the foundations. Then I'm going to give you guys a whole bunch of calls from my paid communities that people paid a lot of money for. And then I'm going to set you off to where you can learn more. So if you haven't already watched the 4-hour and 8-hour copywriting courses, then those are, again, must watches. They're like this video in the same style. So if you like this, you're going to love that as well. I just thought I would go through that. So in case some of you guys are thinking like, why does it feel like some of this is missing? This isn't as tactical as I thought it would be. Just take that into note that if you want the real nitty gritty, getting really extremely into the details on every single letter of every single word, then that is available in the free 4-hour and 8-hour courses. So here's why you want to make reading feel like scrolling. You ever start reading something and then 5 minutes later you realize you haven't stopped? That's the goal. Right? Sometimes you get so entrenched in something and you're like, wow, I actually read that whole thing. That's exactly what you want to do in your copy. Good copy shouldn't feel like effort to the reader, more like a sharp ice skate gliding across the rink, like skimming a feed. Like your brain already knows what's coming and wants to see if it's right. It's kind of like when you play a video game and you lose track of time, or you watch a movie and you lose track of time, or you watch a new show and already you're on like season 8. So what's the trick? Write it in a way that makes each line set up for the next. Even if the next line is just 3 words, even if it's empty space. Don't be clever. Don't try to make the reader disappear. Don't be clever. Just try to make the reader disappear in your writing. Next is moving the needle. Forget the fancy tactics for a second. What really moves someone to buy isn't specifically the product, the brand, or the platform. It's what's happening inside the customer's head. And here's what I mean. Marketing psychology is about understanding a particular moment. The one where attention flips into desire. And the desire, that's what we'll be weaponizing in a good way, of course. This is how to get into their head or be ignored. Because getting into people's head and being so relatable to them that they think that you're like listening to them through their iPhone microphone, that is how much you want to be able to get into their head. Because once they really truly feel like you understand their problem, they will then assume that you also understand how to solve their problem. If you can enter the conversation that's already happening in your buyer's mind, you win. And at that point, you don't even have to convince them of anything. You just have to show them you get it. Their hopes, fears, what they're sick of, and what they secretly want but won't say out loud. If your copy feels like it was pulled straight from their thoughts, you've already won. And that's how trust gets built instantly, and action follows that trust as well. Now, another part of probably one of the biggest ways in determining factors that actually get people to take action is urgency and the fear of missing out. And they completely equal sales. So for example, people respond to time limits, not logic. Give them a reason to act now. You've seen, countdown timers, sale ends soon, this sort of thing. Now there are, very cheap ways to do it, like, oh, get this now or else you're not going to be able to have, or this is not going to be around for long. Or you can make it feel real and genuine by actually making it real and genuine. And I'll show you how to do that. But another marketing term that I don't think that I have down is that the best marketing simply states the facts and tells the truth. That's it. States the facts and tells the truth. So that's going to be highly more effective, and I'll tell you why. So for example, I've shown you already, I've already done multiple interviews with people making 10K per month with copywriting, right? 16K per month, 18K per month, etc. Now, me just showing you that and you watching those videos is going to be far more effective than anything that I could say, but not having results. So I could say, yeah, man, you're going to make this much money, and you're going to make this much money because businesses are going to want you, and because I know the best outreach strategies, and I know how to get clients, and I know how to scale them, and I know how to do this, and I know how to do that. Instead, I'll just shut up And I'll just show you that I've already done it for so many people. And that's what gets people inspired far more than you sitting there, again, trying to convince them. So if you state the facts and tell the truth, it is going to do far more for you than simply just trying to convince people. Next is quantity versus time scarcity. So limited spots is more like quantity, and then limited hours is time scarcity, how much time you have left. Use both, but be careful and know when to use which. We'll get into that. Next is seasonal urgency. So take advantage of what they already feel. Back to school or Black Friday or New Year. These sorts of urgency work really well as well. And then next is personal/universal pressure. What matters most to them beats what matters most to you. And by using all of this is how momentum is actually built. This isn't by any means forcing a decision. You're getting the customer through the fog so that they can make the choice they already want to make. They're already on the edge. They already know they want it. They already have their credit card details and they just haven't really clicked it yet. And then they say, oh,